"Wait a minute," called the Scarecrow. He had been thinking of a solution, and now he asked the Tin Man to cut away the end of the tree on their side of the ditch. The Tin Man began to use his axe at once, and just as the two Kallidas were almost across, the tree fell with a crash into the gulf, taking the ugly monsters with it. Both of the Kallidas died on the sharp rocks at the bottom. "Well," said the Cowardly Lion, breathing a sigh of relief, "I see we are going to live a little while longer, and that makes me happy, for it must be a very uncomfortable thing not to be alive. Those creatures frightened me so badly that my heart is still beating a mile a minute." "Ah," said the Tin Man sadly, "I wish I had a heart that beat." This adventure made the travelers more anxious than ever to get out of the forest, and they walked so fast that Dorothy became tired and had to ride on the lion's back. Thankfully, the forest became thinner as they continued, and in the afternoon they suddenly arrived at a broad river that was flowing very quickly. On the other side of the water, they could see the road of yellow brick running through a beautiful country, with greenery and bright flowers. Along the road, they could see trees that were full of delicious fruit. They were greatly pleased to see this delightful country before them. "How shall we cross the river?" asked Dorothy. "That is easily done," replied the Scarecrow. "The Tin Man must build a raft for us so we can get to the other side." Not wasting a moment, the Tin Man took his axe and began to cut down small trees to make a raft. While he was busy, the Scarecrow found on the riverbank a tree full of colorful fruit. This pleased Dorothy, who had eaten nothing all day, and she made a hearty meal of the ripe fruit. Meanwhile, the Tin Man worked tirelessly at finishing the raft. Still, it takes time to make a raft, even when one does not get tired, and when night came, the work was not yet done. So, Dorothy, Toto, and the lion found a place under the trees where they slept well until the morning. Dorothy dreamt of the Emerald City and of the Wizard Oz, who would soon send her back to her home again. Chapter 8. The Deadly Poppy Field. Our little party of travelers woke the next morning feeling refreshed and full of hope, and Dorothy had breakfast like a princess, eating peaches and plums from the trees beside the river. Behind them was the dark forest they had passed safely through. Before them was a lovely sunny country that seemed to invite them to the Emerald City. Only the broad river now kept them from this beautiful land, but the raft was nearly done, and after the Tin Man had cut a few more logs and tied them together with wooden pins, they were ready to start. Dorothy sat down in the middle of the raft and held Toto in her arms. When the Cowardly Lion stepped onto the raft, it shook badly, for the lion was big and heavy. But the Scarecrow and the Tin Man stood upon the other end for balance, and they had long poles in their hands to push the raft through the water.